It's time for ROTD Weekend. So as this goes live, as you are listening, I'm actually in Canada, but I do have a brand new episode for you with a new interview as well with somebody from Canada. I am talking with Shelby from Fit as a Mama Bear today, so that is coming soon. And I just wanted to tell you, so the reason that I'm in Canada right now, or part of the reason that I'm there, we're there to visit Marty's dad, who lives in Ottawa, but also to be in Montreal for a little work retreat. My team from Cook the Story and the Cookful and this podcast and all the things that we do are meeting up in person, which is something that's never happened before, all of us together in one place. And we are finishing off or getting ready to launch this thing that I've been telling you about a little bit. It's a special thing for people who want advice and help and recipes for cooking for two. And where this came from, you will remember that I did a survey a little while ago and surveyed you guys on what your pain points in the kitchen were, what you really wanted the most. And so many of you responded that you wanted help cooking for two, recipes for two. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I cook for two a lot. And I also understand the difficulty of going from cooking for a whole family, like 4 to 2, because I do it every week, right? I'm divorced. My kids are at their dad's one week, in which case I am usually cooking for 2 for me and Marty. And then they come back and I'm cooking for 4. And it's a whole different world with different kinds of challenges. And so I've learned a lot over the years doing that. And now I'm bringing that expertise to this new project. So it won't be launching for a little while yet, but I do know that some of you want this stuff and are looking forward to it. So I just wanted to tell you, if you want to make sure that you hear about it, you can continue to listen to this podcast. I will be telling you about it on here, but you can also subscribe to my newsletter because a lot of the information is going to be coming out in there. The easiest way to subscribe to my newsletter, that's an email newsletter, is to go to cookthestory.com/start-here, like start-here. And when you click on that, you'll see down below, it says subscribe to the weekly newsletter. That is where you put your email address and then you are in. So if you are one of the people who expressed a need for help cooking for two, make sure you go and subscribe there and you'll be getting a lot of information. I'm not entirely sure when the launch is going to be. We'd originally thought kind of like late August, but you know, it's a busy time of year, a lot of back to school and Labor Day. So we might be pushing it off into September a little bit. And then everybody will have a little bit more time to, well, we will have a little bit more time to actually do it. And you will have a little bit more time to sink your teeth into all of the wonderful recipes, tips, advice that we're going to be bringing you. So yeah, that is what I'm doing in Montreal with my team, coming up with all of this wonderful stuff. I'm calling it stuff because I'm not telling you exactly what it is yet. But yes, we're coming up with all this wonderful stuff, putting it together in just the right package. So as I said, my guest is a fellow Canadian. She is Shelby from Fit as a Mama Bear. She is the mom of 3 young girls, and she's a health and strength training coach. Let's hear my conversation with Shelby. Hey, Shelby, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
I am delighted to be talking with you. I know we were talking before we started recording that I have been doing a lot more strength training, weight training, exercise, and I am so happy to have you on the show because you are a strength and nutrition coach. Is that right?
Yes, I am a certified strength and conditioning specialist with the National Strength and Conditioning Association, which is a mouthful. And I'm also certified with Precision Nutrition as a level 1 coach. And I have been for, I want to say 15-ish years.
Oh, wow.
So, which I know sounds insane when you say it out loud.
Yeah, no, that's a long time. How did you get started in this?
Well, it's kind of funny. Everyone assumes as a personal trainer that I grew up very fit. I was into sports, that kind of thing, which is the opposite of who I was. So I did 0 sports as a child. I was not overly active, by the time I got through high school, I was smoking. And so definitely not like the fitness style background that most people expect. But I was a restaurant manager at the time, and I just got really sick of feeling weak. Not that I was overly weak, but carrying 2 beer cases up from the back of the house to the front of the house, that kind of stuff. And so I decided to, and I give quotes on this, get healthy was a New Year's goal. And now as a coach, I'm like, that is not a definable goal, but I wanted to be healthier. And so I started going to the gym, and this is back before YouTube videos, everyone, using a workout cutout from a magazine, of course.
Wow.
Yep. So very old school, I guess. And I enjoyed it so much that I actually emailed the manager of a local gym with basically a fix my life email.
Oh, wow.
I was like, listen, I'm a restaurant manager. I don't want to do this. I love fitness. What do I do? Like, it was the most random email I've ever sent. And he called me and said, come in and let's chat. And at the end of that chat, I walked out being an assistant general manager at a gym.
Wow.
It was the most random conversation of my entire life, but it also like changed the trajectory of it. So I started getting my basic certifications from there, obviously, to work at a gym and that kind of stuff. And every year I just kind of fell more in love with training and the way I trained, and ended up getting my strength and conditioning certification, which is a big one. If you don't know, it gives you those lovely letters, CSCS, by your name. And then I got more into the nutrition side. I worked with another really great mentor and eventually stopped working for gyms altogether, opened my own business. We gutted a floor of the house to put a gym in at home so that I could train clients at home. I did that for about 10 years. And I'd love to say there was like this big moment where all of a sudden something happened and then I became really fit because of it. But it honestly was just every year I made a different swap or a different change or a different challenge to my lifestyle. And then I started the blog in 2017 just to reach more people and talk more about fitness and the things that I was doing. And 3 kids later, I am still in the gym every morning with them now, which is really fun. I am a crazy fitness person. I got into running, which is a laugh in itself because it used to be a running joke that if someone were to attack me, I'd stand a better chance staying and fighting than I would running away because I couldn't run down the block without gasping as a former smoker. Now I'm running about 10 to 15 kilometers a week. It's one of those insane things.
Yeah, wow, that is quite the journey. And now, I mean, so you mentioned that you have the blog, so that's Fit as a Mama Bear?
It is. So it is a fitness and healthy food blog. I'm personally dairy-free and gluten-free for intolerance reasons. So the recipes are allergy-friendly. And I think almost all of them are high in protein. So that's kind of where I'm at right now as a coach. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to help make it simple for other moms because we're told all these things that we should be doing and that's wonderful. But when you have multiple kids running around at the end of the day, all those things are overwhelming.
So I want to know, I feel like I should know this because it's the buzzword and is everywhere, but I'm not sure that I do know for sure. Why protein?
It is a buzzword right now, and I have a love-hate relationship with that because everything goes in and out of trends. Protein does more than just build your muscles, and I think that's what we overlook when we hear you should eat more protein. Everyone thinks, well, I don't want to be big and bulky and gain muscles, but it does more than that. So protein boosts your immune system. It helps keep you full so you're not ravenous reaching for chocolate at 3 p.m. It helps you lose weight if that's your goal because it takes longer to digest. So it keeps your metabolism higher. It helps you preserve your metabolism as you age. All these things are little benefits and little factors of getting more protein into your diet. Mm-hmm. So yes, it is awesome for building muscle, but why do we want to build muscle? It's for all those fun little lifestyle things as we age.
Yeah, I know that makes sense. And you're right. It totally is way more filling than is it more filling than all other ways of getting calories?
It just takes longer to digest is where that comes from. Mm-hmm. So it's lower in calories per gram, but it also takes longer to digest. Your metabolism has to work harder, and thus you quote unquote burn more calories to digest what you're eating. Mm-hmm. So on top of that it does keep you more full because it is more nutrient dense, which means you're not snacking as much. And if your goal is to, I don't like the word tone up, but if your goal is to tone up, if your goal is weight loss based or body comp based, that's super important because what happens is we get snacky, not actually hungry, and we're kind of picking at all of the things and and eating far more than we realize we're kind of snacking on. Whereas protein, when you are actually full, and full is a good thing, everyone, we want to be full, you snack on the random things less. So I'm not saying don't enjoy your favorite foods or your favorite tastes and flavors. I think you can eat a high protein diet and enjoy all of those things. But if the bulk of your nutrients and intake comes from protein, you're going to be more full and less snacky on random stuff.
No, that makes sense. Do you have favorite proteins, like go-tos that you recommend?
I do. So this is one of those controversial things. I do use a protein powder and a collagen powder. Now, for all of the real food dieters out there, yes, a real food diet, a whole food diet is obviously the best way to go, and I won't dispute that. However, it is also overwhelming sometimes to be told you can't use any shortcuts. So for me, protein powder and collagen powder is a lovely shortcut. I use both of those. Obviously, chicken and eggs and ground beef are all staples in my diet. I'm dairy free, so that means I have to use a vegan Greek yogurt, which I don't use a whole lot of because they tend to have a lot of fillers in them. If you are not dairy free, Greek yogurt and cottage cheese are your friend. They are easy, quick proteins to grab. They mix well with other things.
Absolutely.
You can create a ton of stuff with them. But in terms of staples, eggs and egg whites, chicken is almost always cooked in the fridge, and I normally cook taco beef for the week too, to just grab and go and make easy meals. And yes, I do love collagen powder and protein powder, both of them, so I use those too.
What about nuts and beans?
Love them both. So nuts are very calorie dense. They're a really great healthy fat. They're not an awesome protein source. So use them because you enjoy them. Use them to make things taste better. I personally adore almond butter and nut butters because they make everything yummier. But they are more of a healthy fat than they are a protein source. Beans, again, they can be a great protein source. However, I find them overly filling for the protein that they have. So I won't use them as a protein source. I will use them as an add-in or a starchy carb, but not as a direct protein source because I find you have to eat so much of them in order to get the amount of protein that I want people to have per day that everyone ends up feeling that like sluggish, stuffed feeling.
Yeah, I've been trying to up my amount of nuts and beans in the last 6 months, so maybe I need to decrease them a little bit and add in, I don't know if I would do a protein powder or a collagen powder. Maybe.
So, and again, there's pros and cons, right? Collagen powder is my favorite for people who don't tolerate protein powder, which is a thing. A lot of people do get bloated from protein powder, no matter how pure, quote unquote, pure of a protein powder you use. Collagen powder is a good solution for them. Collagen is like the beneficial part of bone broth, but without the like bone brothy taste. Is the best way to explain it. So it digests pretty easily. I know you've heard about it for like your hair, skin, and nails, but it's also great for your immune system. And it is a good bump up in your intake. You can mix it into yogurts and smoothies and oatmeal and all those things. Protein powder, I do use and love, but I think there is something to be said for finding the right one for you, which can be difficult because there's about 9,000 on the market. So you first need to decide whether you tolerate dairy and can do like a whey protein, which is awesome. If you don't tolerate dairy and you need a vegan protein powder or an egg white protein powder or a collagen and broth protein powder, like those are all areas that you kind of have to look into. And obviously, like with clients, I give recommendations on what to do there. But I find powders make it a little bit easier when your lifestyle is insane.
Yeah, no,
and
that
mine
makes
is
sense.
definitely insane. I love having like food prepped in the fridge. Don't get me wrong. It's just you have to be on top of it. And for me, I also have a really wicked sweet tooth that I refuse to give up. And so instead of giving it up, I've just learned to make sweet protein treats that make me feel like I'm indulging this sweet tooth, but I'm still gaining some fuel there.
You just reminded me when you said that you have an ebook just about this, right?
The Strong and Sweet Protein Guide. So this is how serious I take my sweet tooth. It's not something I'm ever going to fully eliminate from my diet. I love chocolate. So the Strong and Sweet Protein Guide has high protein recipes. So they all have 17 grams of protein or more, but they're dessert light. So you are looking at protein zucchini bread and chocolate topped oats, almond butter cups, and protein puddings, all of those kinds of things. So they use either a vegan protein powder or a collagen powder, and they all are protein packed, but still kind of give you that sweet treat 3 p.m. afternoon craving buster type of taste.
So would you still treat this as a dessert, like don't have more than one a day kind of thing? Or are they healthy enough that they could fill in for part of a meal or something a little bit more frequently? Where are they
I'd
there?
say they're a medium. So for clients, I personally like to have everyone's 3 main meals, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, have 30 grams of protein or more, right? So that's going to get you an easy 90 grams for the day. If you can nail that down, then your little snacks in between, I find, can be sweeter. All of the ones in the Strong and Sweet Guide are made with maple syrup or honey. I'm not a big sugar person, so they do use natural sweeteners. I normally have 1 to 2 a day, but it depends. I'll normally have a smoothie in the morning and then either a protein pudding or chocolate fudge or peanut butter fudge. More around that like afternoon pick me up with whatever else I'm kind of grabbing. So I wouldn't say they can be meal replacements, a lot of them, but I'd say you can have 1 to 2 a day if you're strategic on which ones you choose.
I love that. I'm actually going to recommend this book to my son because I told you before he's doing CrossFit and seems to be needing more and more protein. So and he loves sweets. So this might be exactly the right.
And no one wants to give up sweets. I'm sorry, but I feel in the fitness world, you're kind of told that you have to give up all of the things you enjoy. When in reality, if you learn how to adding in is always easier than eliminating. So place your focus there, nail down getting more protein in, and then tweak the other stuff later.
Oh, love it. That is so great. Well, now, Shelby, have you brought a recipe to share with me today?
I did. So it is the top recipe on my blog for good reason. Oh. It is a chocolate protein peanut butter cup.
Ooh. Oh, that sounds amazing.
So I have like a serious obsession with chocolate peanut butter. I'll eat it in anything. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love it. One of the reasons I personally love this recipe, but other people enjoy it as well, is that there's no baking. So anything that can be made in about 10 minutes is a hit in my house with 3 kids.
Yeah.
And it's just simple. I think there's 6 or 7 ingredients and it just comes together really quickly, but it is like that chocolate peanut butter bite that you love.
Okay. Where do you start when making this? I'm excited.
So the first thing you want to do is grab a pot and melt together some chocolate chips and coconut oil and just get that heating on low. Do not put it on medium because when you burn chocolate, it doesn't taste good. And it also gives that weird like burnt chocolate smell to everything. Don't do it.
Do you have to use coconut oil or could you use a different kind of oil if you wanted?
You can use a different oil, but it's going to change the texture because coconut oil solidifies once it's chilled. It holds them together better.
So butter would be maybe
butter
possible,
would work.
but not dairy-free.
I feel like you could do butter. If you tolerate dairy, butter would probably work really well. I've tried them with tallow because I make my own tallow and they do turn out as pretty decent that way too.
Okay, great.
So I just wouldn't use like an olive oil or an avocado oil because they're going to just be really greasy at the end.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So you want to get that heating on low. And then in your next bowl, you want to mix together natural peanut butter, your vegan protein powder, vanilla extract, and some almond milk or any other dairy-free milk that works. Here's the kicker about this though, is depending on the protein powder you use, the texture of this is going to change. Vegan protein powders absorb a ton of liquid and pea protein powders especially absorb more than a coconut one or a rice one, that kind of thing. So you have to play around a little bit. You are essentially trying to make a sticky, not quite drippy, but tacky mess. That is your goal. I always recommend taste testing here because again, vegan protein powders all taste different also. So if you're finding it's not as sweet as you like, add a splash of maple syrup. If you don't need that, awesome. Get just a nice big sticky ball going.
So basically you're saying you can't really tell us how much protein powder to add because it's going to be different. So just keep adding until it's sticky but holding together.
I would start with about a 1/4 cup of protein powder to 1/2 cup of peanut butter. And if you find that it's really dry and crumbly, you're going to want to add a little bit more almond milk, a little bit more peanut butter, or a splash of maple syrup.
Gotcha.
So you do want it, and I have a video on the site that kind of demonstrates this a little bit more.
Perfect.
You just don't want it to be powdery. Otherwise, when you bite into it, it's like a chalkier taste versus like a creamy taste.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's important.
That makes sense?
Yeah, for sure.
You can also make this with collagen powder too, and it ends up way creamier than the protein powder because collagen doesn't absorb as much liquid.
Oh.
So pros and cons. And whey protein powder, for those people who tolerate dairy, is more similar to collagen powder. So you won't need to add more protein powder, or you won't need to add more peanut butter. It'll keep it pretty drippy.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I know all the ins and outs of like playing with protein powder.
Yeah,
here.
no, and that it's important, right? Because if I'm thinking about making this with my son literally today, and I'm gonna need to know all of this.
Okay, so what you do then is I use a silicone like candy mold with these circle, like 1-inch circle molds. You can use muffin cup, like silicone muffin cups here as well, kind of whatever you have. And you are going, once the coconut oil and chocolate is melted, you're going to drizzle that about 3/4 of it onto the bottom of your mold. You're then going to spoon the peanut butter mixture into the chocolate and pat it down a bit. And then you're going to top the peanut butter with the remaining chocolate sauce. And you just kind of pat it down so that all the peanut butter is coated. Sprinkle some sea salt on there and pop it in the freezer. That's it. That's all you got to do.
And then do you eat them straight from the freezer, or?
If you're a crazy person like me, you eat them from the freezer and you kind of gnaw off the chocolate. So that would be me. I wouldn't recommend it fully, but I have totally been there. No judgment. Other people, more sane people, might let them sit on the counter for 5 to 6 minutes so that you can bite into the peanut butter cup.
And so you store them in the freezer and just take them out a few minutes before you want to eat them.
I store them in the freezer. I have had clients store them in the fridge and not had a problem and been able to eat nice soft chocolate. I'm not sure why that doesn't resonate with me. But I'm gonna leave them in the freezer. I think maybe because my kids don't go into the freezer. Like whenever I make these, I feel like they're gone so quickly because my kids all want them and I have to share. So I think I put them in the freezer and I'm like, well, no one's noticed these. Perfect.
I love that. I actually have strategic places. I have 2 freezers. One in the like fridge in the kitchen has a freezer, and then the fridge in the garage has a freezer. And I strategically put things in the garage freezer all the time because they don't go, even though they're older and they know it's out there. They often, I'm not going to go all the way into the garage to get the ice cream.
I made date bark, like chocolate peanut butter date bark the other day. And I did the same thing. I was like, I'm just going to shove this to the back while it's set. And then no one has noticed.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Shelby, this has been so much fun, so informative. Can you let people know where they can find you online and where they can get that great ebook as well?
So you can find me at fitasmamabear.com. That is the URL for all of my social channels as well. If you go to Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, which is now X, and one day I'll remember that. As for the Strong and Sweet Protein Guide, it is on my website under the shop tab. You can just scroll down and find it there.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Shelby. Go and follow her, Fit as a Mama Bear. And oh my God, I don't have a huge sweet tooth, but I do love peanut butter and chocolate together, especially dark chocolate. Love it. Thank you, Shelby. And yeah, we all need to be getting our protein, right? I'm going to tell you, I made a joke on the improv stage the other night. I tell you that I've been doing these improv classes with Marty. We've been taking improv classes so that we can be more spontaneous together when we start doing some YouTube videos. Oh, that is related to the project I was telling you about at the top of the show. I'm giving you little hints all over the place, aren't I? So yeah, that's part of why Marty and I have been doing the improv classes. And the other night I was in this improv scene with this guy, and somehow I was in this conversation about how I was hungry and I needed protein. And he was like, why do you need protein? And I said, aren't you on TikTok? Don't you know we all need protein? And it was just a funny, social media and all those cottage cheese recipes to help us get that protein. It is a TikTok phenomenon. Okay, so like I said, I am pre-recording this because I am in Canada, so you might think that I'm not cooking this week, but I actually get back very soon and do have a big cooking photography day planned with Jen coming over. She's coming back from Montreal too, and we are going to dive into the kitchen together. I know that we are doing some air fryer sweet potatoes. I've been playing around with the best way to cook those. Not like French fries and not baked sweet potatoes that are whole, more the cubes to have like a little side dish. So that is being photographed and videoed this week. I'm also retesting an old recipe from the site for bacon cheeseburger soup. I just want to make it even better than it was, but I've always loved it because it has, bacon and ground beef and cheese, and it also has a little bit of mustard and ketchup in it, just a little bit. And then there's chopped up onions and pickles on top. Oh, so good. But then I love dill pickles on everything. Oh, I'm going to give a little teaser. I have been playing around with a new dip. I'm not ready to say the recipe's done, and I'm not planning on testing it this week, I don't think, although if I get hungry and I'm craving it, I might because I'm getting addicted to it. It is for a new hot dip that has chopped up dill pickles in it. And the first test was amazing. Marty loved it. I might just try it one more time with a couple little tweaks, but I think it's going to be a real hit, at least in my house, because we both love it. And I'm not entirely sure what else Jed and I will be cooking. I'm a little bit too far away from that to know for sure. We will be testing some new recipes, like starting to develop and think about some new recipes, but I'm not entirely sure what they're going to be just yet. As to what is going live on the site this week, on both sites, I'm super excited. Remember when I had Megan on the other week from Megan It Up, and we were talking about how Coleman is a sponsor for this podcast and how one of their new products, the steak cut bacon, how much we love that. Well, my recipes using that bacon are going live on the sites this week on Monday. On Cook the Story, we have a spinach salad with warm bacon dressing. You remember that like retro salad from I think the 80s, maybe even the 70s. It is like that, but kind of updated with a creamy dressing and also with that steak cut big chunky bits of bacon. There's also hard-boiled eggs and mushrooms on there, just like the classic. It is so good. I hadn't had it in a really long time, so it was a lot of fun developing the recipe and diving into it. And then on the Cookful, related to that recipe, we've updated it kind of even more and turned it into a Brussels sprouts slaw. So you're shredding up the Brussels sprouts and then you're adding that warm bacon dressing to it. It just wilts it ever so slightly. And then you put it in a wide serving bowl so that it's not super deep. And then you top it with those same things, that steak cut bacon from Coleman and the hard-boiled egg chopped up, some chopped mushrooms, there's cherry tomatoes, red onion. And so that's kind of spread out over the top so that when you scoop into that coleslaw or the Brussels sprout coleslaw, you get all those toppings in each scoop. It is unbelievably good. I think I like it better than the spinach salad version. Oh, you know what? That's not true. I cannot decide. But those recipes are going live on Monday this week. I am so excited. As to what I'm talking about on the podcast this week, there is some brining going on. And both of those salads, the spinach salad and the Brussels sprout salad, stay tuned for that. Oh, there's a 1 pound meatloaf. I've been telling you that my son Jeremy has been cooking for the website this summer, working for me. He actually did a test of this recipe the other day. I forgot how good it was. It is so delicious. It's a 1 pound meatloaf. Oh, you're going to love it if you haven't tried it before. 1 pound meaning it uses 1 pound of ground beef. So it's just perfect for a small dinner. Oh, like if you were cooking for two. See, little hints all over the place. And there's a really delicious salmon recipe. Probably my favorite way to cook salmon if I have the fillets that don't have the skin. I know I said fillets. I'm Canadian and a lot of British and Canadian people say fillets. Not all of us, but some of us. I mean the thing that most of you call salmon fillets. So that is all the stuff that I'm talking about this week. If you want to make sure you don't miss any episodes, make sure you're subscribed to the show. Go to your favorite podcast app on your phone and search for Recipe of the Day. You will find me there. I'm everywhere. Or go to cookthestory.com/ROTD and there are buttons across the top to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, those main places. While you are there, you can find this episode. It has all the links to everything I've been talking about. So you would just go down and look for the episode from July 12th of 2025 and you'll get everything you need. The links are all in the show notes for the podcast as well. Okay, I'd like to say a big thank you to Shelby from Fit as a Mama Bear, and thank you to Coleman All Natural Meats for sponsoring this show, and thank you to you for listening. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookville.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.